Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. So today's webinar, we've kind of tried to work on some of the questions that we've been receiving, both from you guys, our English-speaking customers, but then also some of the questions that our Spanish-speaking customers have been asking us about Psious at home. We are working towards doing a webinar potentially next week that will be more focused on the clinical applications and meeting therapeutic objectives. So today I'm going to be focusing more on the kind of technical and practical aspects of Psious at home. So just first of all, to reiterate to anyone, or if anyone hasn't had the chance to really hear much or read much about Psious at home yet, Psious at home is a complement to Psious Pro to facilitate telepsychology. So you can do psychological evaluation, intervention remotely with your patient. And your patient does not have to have a VR kit, but can use the VR environments. They need to have an upper to mid-range Android mobile, either cardboard, universal VR goggles, or if your patient does have Pico G2 and or Oculus Go, say some people use the Oculus Go for gaming and things like that, then they are also available to use these ones. An important thing to bear in mind with any patients that you may have that have, say, the Pico G2 or the Oculus Go is the regular download for the app for Psious at home that we're sending out to patients and you're sending out to your patients. This is a different process to what the patient will need to do if they have an Oculus Go or Pico. If they do have an Oculus Go or a Pico, either yourselves or the patient, ideally, as long as they're comfortable doing so, will need to contact us and we'll be able to give them the instructions to using and downloading Psious in the Pico or the Oculus Go. And this is more similar to the process that any of you that use Samsung Gear or use Oculus Go yourself will have done, and they'll have to install it through the Oculus App Store. And we need to provide redeem codes for that. So it's important that if your patient does want to opt for using a Pico or Oculus Go, that you make sure that they contact us, because if they try to follow the usual method that's for anyone with mobile phones, then it won't work for them. We don't want people to get confused, so we're more than happy to help anyone that needs it. So a lot of the questions that we've had are, what are cardboard goggles and what do you recommend? So cardboard goggles is kind of the term that we use for VR goggles that basically are almost like a shell. And they work where you have your patient would have the app on their mobile device, and then as you can see on this picture here, you almost slot the mobile device in front of lenses, and it allows you to experience the environment as though you were using integrated VR goggles. And we recommend that you can buy them, or your patients can buy them, on Amazon. I know Amazon's still running. They're not running at full capacity, which is something to, of course, bear in mind. But some of the goggles that we'd recommend are, say, the Google Daydream. You can literally buy cardboard versions of the goggles, and you can find any of these just by searching cardboard VR goggles. There's the Be Next goggles here. It's generally important, though, that if you are speaking with your patients about purchasing universal VR goggles, that they make sure that what they purchase has the correct dimensions, that it will fit their mobile phone in. So it's important that they are aware of the dimensions of phones that will fit into the different universal goggles. because we don't want people to be buying a set of the goggles and then find that their mobile phone does not fit when they try and slot it in there. A reason why we might recommend the getting or encouraging your clients to get the VR universal goggles is because it will allow them to experience the environment that they're in a hands-free aspect. So usually if the patient is using their mobile phone, that's absolutely fine, but unless they have sensors on their mobile that sense when they're moving their mobile, you'll have to flick through the environment using your finger or guide the site through the environment using your finger by scrolling your finger across the scene. Obviously, if you're using the cardboard goggles, it gives you the ability to put the app onto VR mode and allow you to look around the environment hands-free. So this may be preferred for some people, which is why we recommend it, and which is why we have told you guys about it. But it's not necessary. If a client or a patient of yours is comfortable just using their mobile phone, that will be fine too. One thing that I will say as well in this slide, so particularly in the English-speaking countries that we cater to, particularly the US and the UK, I'm aware that Apple does have the majority of the market share. It's only a slight majority at the moment, say in the US. It's about 50% dominated by Apple and 42% Android. So it's not perhaps so pronounced as you'd expect it to be. But I know that some of you guys do have concerns about the number of your patients that will have access to an Android device. So we are working, the development team are working on making it available on iOS. The reason why we were able to get the turnaround so quickly to release Psious at Home for Android was because Psious has been built based around Android technology. Of course, when we first started, we were using the Samsung Gear models, and then we moved on to the Pico, but Psious has always been built around Android technology, and that made it extremely easy for us to quickly adapt it to an Android mobile app that can be used remotely. With iOS, because iOS is essentially completely different from Android, the development team and the tech team are working on restructuring the app so that it fits and is compliant with the conditions of iOS, and so that it will be able to run effectively on iOS, because our concern is we don't want to release an app on iOS that was originally designed for Android and hasn't been properly adapted to iOS. At the moment, it's still in the pipeline. I can't give you a more specific date. What I would suggest, maybe, if one of your patients is really interested in being able to continue the therapeutic process that they've been going through with you, using VR, for example, it depends how much the patient is willing to invest in their own therapy. But the Oculus Go is one of the models that's compatible with Psious. And the Oculus Go is lower in the price range than, say, the Pico, and it's potentially even cheaper than acquiring an Android device. You can speak to your patients about this on a patient-to-patient basis. Of course, you know what your patients might be expecting to be willing to pay or to invest in their therapy better than I can recommend you. But just be aware as well, perhaps another pro or benefit to a client or a patient purchasing an Oculus Go would be that if there's somebody that's particularly concerned about sharing goggles with other patients, or has raised concerns about hygiene aspects of using the goggles, of course we we reassure them anyway that we've gone through the proper steps to make sure that they're hygienic and to make sure that they've been cleaned. But if the patient then has their own Oculus Go, every time that they come into a session with you post-isolation, they'll be able to use their own equipment. They'll be able to bring in their own equipment and use their own equipment. And like I said, the Oculus Go isn't purely just compatible with Psious. There's other uses for gaming, for streaming on the Oculus Go. So it wouldn't have to be a sole investment in just their therapy. So it's something to consider if you have patients that only have iOS products, but they do want to see if there's a way that they can participate in using Psious remotely. And the Oculus Go is perhaps the right avenue to start looking at with them and start discussing with them and see whether that might be a possibility for them. So we've had a few questions about video conferencing. So as we've explained before, what we recommend is Zoom, Google Hangouts, or Skype. The reason why we recommend Zoom is because in Spain, Zoom is what's recommended by regulatory body in terms of encryption and safety and those kind of regulations. So I know that our Chief Medical Officer, Ricardo Sainz, has been looking into more information, how to find more information about different regulatory bodies internationally. At the moment, we are asking you guys for specific regional advice to contact your own regulatory body. As soon as we do get any information on any aspects, of course we'll share it with you guys. But for the moment, because we do have clients that are all over the world, and even in America, the laws can differ state to state. So it's very difficult to compile a strict or a concrete recommendation for you guys. So at this point, of course, if you have any questions, let us know and we'll see what we can do. But our advice is to be having some responsibility yourself to checking with the appropriate bodies whether it's okay to use Zoom, or it's okay to use Google Hangouts, or it's okay to use Skype for the teletherapy functions. Now, some of you may already do work with teletherapy. Some of you may already be doing video conferencing with some of your patients. If anyone that's joined with us today is actually doing teletherapy at the moment, pop a message in the chat if you would want to share anything. Angela, I'll pop. Angela asked where patients should contact us. It's always the customer service at psious.com email. I'll pop that in the chat now for you guys. Yeah, if anyone has any recommendations for their specific location, either you can let me know now, or Telegram is a great place to share that kind of knowledge. So say if you work in a particular state in the US, say you work in Texas, and you know that for my state, I'm allowed to use these forms of video conferencing, that kind of information, put it in Telegram, because then as a community, as a Psious clinical network, we can all build this shared knowledge together. Of course, this is our solution and our additional aspect to the platform that we've launched purely as a reaction to coronavirus. So it's still something that any feedback that we receive from you guys, or any information that we receive from you guys, or any recommendations of anything that we can do to help you guys further, is so welcome at this point. And we do have the ability to really listen to you guys and really work to improve what we're currently offering based on your needs. So don't be shy. Anything that you know, put it in the Telegram, or share it with me directly at the customer service email. And any questions, again, put it in Telegram or share it with me directly. So one thing that I don't think we have really spoken about, but that we've had a few questions about, is whether video conferencing throughout the session is necessary. What we would say is it's not necessary 100%, but it's recommended. We highly recommend it. Firstly, because using video conferencing at the same time, you can not only be picking up on verbal behaviours or what the patient reports to you after the session, but you can be looking at their non-verbal behaviour, and this will give you the more full experience of the remote therapy, and be able to replicate the conditions of an in-office or in-clinic therapy session to as great an extent as possible. Other recommendations to keep in mind with this is the recommendations you should make to your patient. So you might suggest that the patient has their laptop set up to do the video conferencing. It's sat in a chair at a desk or in their room, similar to how I am now. They'll be able to speak with you, do the evaluation, do the introduction to the therapy session, and then go into the environment and use the environment, and you'll be able to observe what they're doing and how they're interacting with the environment live. If it's not plausible for your patient, of course it's not the end of the world, and as their therapist, as yourselves, the professionals, it would be down to you whether you think what different environments would be appropriate to use when you're not able to visually see them or verbally communicate with them whilst they're in the environment. So perhaps you would avoid doing sessions or exposures that are really up the scale of a hierarchy of exposure, because you don't have the same level of access to the patient. So it's really just about assessing each patient's needs, as you would do anyway using the platform, and adjusting it where you think is necessary. So if that's a bit unclear to anyone, then let me know. So Alan has told us that in USA, Zoom is HIPAA okay, but you need a BAA certificate, which you can only get with a paid account. So thank you, Alan, that's really great to know. So I assume from that you need to sign up to Zoom on a paid basis for it to be HIPAA compliant. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alan. So that's great to know for any of you that are in the US now. I'll also share that information, if you don't mind, Alan, in the Telegram chat later as well, in case anyone in the chat will miss the content of today's webinar. So what I've done is a little kind of demo video of how you'll share the app with patients and how you'll encourage them to download. So assuming that you've had contact via email, via phone call, or however you would normally contact your patient, and they've said, yeah, I want to do a remote therapy session, I want to book in on this date at this time with you, we recommend the day before or even prior to that, that you get in contact with them. Say over WhatsApp is one of the best places to do it because it is encrypted, and you'd have a conversation with them kind of like this. You can see a little model that we've done. So you get in touch with them and you touch base and remind them to download the app if they haven't already, and you can send the link to them. Now this link and the message that you'll see being typed there is included in the Psious at Home manual. Now, you should have all received the Psious at Home manual in emails via official communications that have been sent to all of our clients. If you can't find the Psious at Home manual, or if you don't believe that you've received it, please drop me an email and I'll send it over to you again. So we're saying to the patient, remember that by the agreed time you must have the application installed. It's likely to ask you to accept permissions from unknown sources, is what it goes on to say. So I'll pause it there because it's quite an important point. You may have patients that are concerned that it's being asked for permissions for various different unknown sources when they're downloading the app. We can reassure you, so you can reassure them that there's nothing untoward, there's nothing for them to be concerned about, but it is very important that they accept all of the permissions. If they fail to accept all of the permissions, the app won't function as we expect it to, and of course that causes complications for yourselves and for the patient, because it will create a barrier in being able to continue with the session as you had planned to do. So really stress that with your patients. It is important that they are accepting all of the permissions. And then you'll see here that I will include the link to downloading the app. So we're trying to get the app on the Google Play Store at the moment, so that people will be able to download it directly through their Android phone and without following the link. But for now, it will be the link that you'll need to share with the patients. And a benefit, sorry, I couldn't get my words out, a benefit of using WhatsApp instead of email or what have you, to pass over the link, is the person's on their phone at the time. All they need to do is click the link. It will take them to the page where they'll see the box download Psious app, click that, accept all the permissions, and then run and install the app. You all should also have the how to install Psious app document that we've made for you to pass to patients. Again, the resources of the Psious at Home manual and how to install the Psious app. If any of you are struggling to find that, please let us know straight away. We'll be able to send it over to you quick and easy, and make sure that you have everything that you need. So if I close that now. So one thing that maybe all of you are perhaps wondering is, what's the future of Psious at Home post-isolation? So it's still in the pipeline of discussion. And what I'd like to stress at this point, again, because it's in the pipeline of discussion, because this is still something that we're developing continuously, you guys have a really strong position. If you have any thoughts, recommendations, or if you're keen to keep Psious at Home as an option post-isolation, post-coronavirus, let us know, because the more people that we hear from saying that you'd like to continue to have access to this, the more likely, of course, that we are to continue it, and the more likely that we are to develop in the right way so that it's able to be continued for all clients. And then also as well, any feedback would be great. I don't know, have any of you that are here today had the chance to use Psious at Home with a patient yet? Let me know in the chat if you have done. If none of you have had the chance yet, don't worry. All I would say is that if you do use Psious at Home with a patient, we'd love to hear from you about your experiences. You know, we've designed Psious at Home to be able to support yourselves and your patients throughout these times, and it's really designed for you guys and for your patients. And if there's any feedback about the experience from the therapist side or from the patient side, it's invaluable to us. We'll take all of it on board, we'll pass it all over to the development team, so that we can continue to make the best and the most effective therapy solutions for yourselves and for your patients. So like I said, first time you use it, share your experiences with us. If you have a good experience with it, share it with us. If you have improvements that you might suggest, share it with us. All of these new initiatives that we're coming up with are so centered around you guys, and anything that you need, or anything that you can suggest, we're going to have open ears, and we're going to develop in any way that's possible to support you all. So how should patients use the pre-recorded scenes? I'll try and show you on my phone screen now, if it will. My phone is frozen, so I won't be able to show you. But when you enter the Psious app, or when your patient enters the Psious app, they'll see the 4-digit code, and then they'll see 2 scenes on the side. One of them is the diaphragmatic breathing under the sea, and one of them is one of our mindfulness environments, conscious walk. Now, these environments are pre-recorded, so it means that they have a set sequence, and that in that way, the patient doesn't need you to be on the other side of the platform, controlling the scene, configuring the scene, starting events for them. They'll be able to access these at any time on their own, and practice any of the techniques that you've taught them. So this is really helpful to integrate as homework tasks, in part of your sessions and in part of your therapy plan. And it's a great way to generalize breathing techniques, working at home and not with their therapist. And so Angela said the conscious walk did not operate properly. Angela, were you using a mobile device to do the walk, the conscious walk? Let me know, because I will test the scene after I've been on the phone I've been in this webinar with you guys, and have a look at that for you, Angela. Okay, Angela, if you can send me an email about that, or you don't need to actually, I'll send you an email with an answer about that one for you. All right. Yeah, so if you use Tool Suite platform, as if you guys are Psious Pro users and aren't aware what that is, it's our old platform, where there were some options for homework functions. The recorded videos and the pre-recorded sessions that the patients can do on their own can be used as homework sessions in this kind of way, in the same kind of way as you would have done on Tool Suite. And particularly during these times, we thought that the relaxation and diaphragmatic breathing technique and the mindfulness environments were really important resources for people to have, to be able to practice mindfulness techniques, to be able to practice relaxation, without necessarily having to integrate it as part of their planned therapy session. Of course, you can still use these 2 environments in the directed sessions as well. So the Psious at Home is aimed primarily at patients that you already have, so that you continue to work with them and try to minimize the impact that leaving so much time without going to therapy can have. So if we leave a huge chunk without seeing a patient, they can become demotivated to participate in the therapy, they can regress in their process of the therapy. So that was our primary function for Psious at Home. But the same way that we are using Psious at Home with you guys existing patients, Psious at Home is also how we're accessing the public for free therapy sessions that are offered through hashtag Stay Strong at Home. So you guys probably are aware of hashtag Stay Strong at Home. If you're not, it's our charitable campaign under which we're offering 1,000 free sessions to members of the public with your collaboration, and free psychoeducation webinars as well. So if any of you are signed up to hashtag Stay Strong at Home, and you're signed up to being available for those free therapy sessions, bear in mind that all of the process of how to communicate the link, to download the app, how to set up the sessions, and generally using Psious at Home, it follows a very similar or practically the same route as how you would do it with your existing patients. And that also leads me into telling you guys, again, I'm going to keep reiterating it every single webinar, so sorry if you get bored of hearing me saying it, but that we really do rely on you all to get the word out as much as you can about hashtag Stay Strong at Home. Without the collaboration of you guys, this campaign won't get off its feet. We appreciate so much the ones of you that have signed up to take part and to be active members. But even if you haven't got the time to be the person that's signed up to run the therapy sessions or run a webinar, if you think that this campaign is a good idea, if you are excited about the fact that we're working in collaboration with our therapists to create a community which can support particularly healthcare staff through these difficult times, then ask us for the information as well. Get in touch to customer service. Say, how can I share more about this initiative? It's important that we spread the word as much as we can so that we're able to reach the people that might need support during this time. And use all of your contacts, be them professional or personal, share them on your social media, share it on your website, really help us to get the word out about this, because we're excited about it and we want as many people to be able to benefit as possible. So I really appreciate anything that you guys can do in regard to that. So Angela said that she had her first contact yesterday from Stay Strong at Home for a client. Was that for a free therapy session, Angela? Yes, perfect. And was it a planned session or planning a session for the future, or did you carry out a session with them? Oops. That's great. Angela, once you've done the session, if you have any feedback, then again, let us know. We really love to hear from you guys, and we really do work as hard as we can to make the whole process that we're all going through together as easy for you guys and as easy for your patients as possible. So any feedback, any additional questions that I haven't managed to cover today, or anything that perhaps you feel I've been a bit vague on, that I've covered today, let me know in the chat now, and I'll answer that for you. Ian? Ian, I might have to answer your question via email, because I'm not that much of a pro with the ToolSuite platform. I'm more versed in the Psious Pro platform, so I want to make sure that I get the right information for you regarding the homeworks on ToolSuite, and make sure that I give you the right information. So I'll get back to you with an answer to that one, if that's okay with you. So Stephanie says you'd like to participate in the campaign, but you're a bit concerned about the technical configuration this will require on the patient side. Okay, so with the patient side of it, you're not responsible at the end of the day for any technical issues that they may have. The fact that we've opened this campaign, we accept that with Psious at Home, any of your patients that need any support installing the app, or with the hashtag Stay Strong at Home campaign, any people that sign up to participate in sessions or anything with that, any technical issues or technical difficulties can be referred back to us, and we encourage them to directly contact us. I understand that maybe for some of your regular patients, they might not feel so comfortable directly contacting us, in which case you're welcome to contact us on their behalf. But we are prepared to speak to people over the phone, email with people, and make sure that people are able to get set up. And this is why we recommend to, at the minimum, contacting the patient at least the day before the session is planned, so that you can verify that they have been able to install the app. At which point, if they haven't been able to install the app, then you would refer them to us. And you can do this on our mobile number, which is, I have it written down somewhere. I'm terrible at remembering numbers. Do apologise. Let me just grab that for you. So the number that people can contact us on, bear in mind it's a Spanish number when you give it to them, is 936-764-077. I've popped that in the chat for you there. So yeah, any patients that have issues, yes, Steph, we do have the step-by-step document to send to patients. I'll send that over to you after the webinar. And anyone else that wants a copy of that document as well, like I said, you should have all received it in the official emails. But if you can't find it, don't worry, let me know and I'll send it over to you. Assuming there's no more questions from you guys, I'll give you a couple of minutes before I fly off to pop any of those in. But assuming there's no more questions, I hope you guys all feel confident and comfortable in being able to participate in Psious at Home with your patients. So one more thing actually that I will mention is how you should kind of sell it or explain it to your patients. So you need to explain that they can do directed sessions or self-directed sessions, which are the pre-recorded ones. And you can explain to them that the session will essentially work and they'll interact with the same environments that they're used to, and be able to continue to reach their therapeutic objectives. So just underline the importance of the continuity, because that's what we're trying to maintain by developing Psious at Home, is continuity, which is very important in a lot of therapies. Thank you, Helen. I'm glad it was helpful. And I will say goodbye to you guys now. But again, customer service at psious.com. Let me know any questions, any concerns, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So thank you guys for listening, and stay safe, and see some of you tomorrow for the webinar. Bye.